Hi, everybody. Welcome to my Saturday morning live. I'm here to answer all your questions, anything that's generally health related. And while I wait for people to come on and join, I have talked enough about the course that I'm offering on Tuesday, which starts Tuesday, goes on for about 6 weeks, maybe one additional week for Q&A. And I have a new offer for that. I know there was a discount. A lot of people have written back to me, asked for the discount. But while we're not offering the course on the discount anymore, what I am offering is in a 30-minute session, just a Q&A, regular general Q&A personalized with me, if you were to sign up for that course. And if you guys have any questions about the course, I think almost everything has been answered. There's just one question that I've been getting that I'm going to answer. Is what I'm going to be reading from is the Ashtanga Hridayam text, which is one of the most recent, which is the recent of the ancient texts. And why that over the Charak Samhita? Charak Samhita is the oldest text. The Charak Samhita is extremely detailed and very specific to those times because it has the principles and all the practices. And all those practices can actually, not all of them can be inculcated in our life today, which can sometimes become very dogmatic as well as rigid. So the Ashtanga Hridayam was actually written for evolving times, which really kept the principles alive and said we could really design our own practices based on those principles. So if any of this makes sense for those who've been tuning in, great. If not, we can go ahead and we can talk about, we can do our regular Q&A. This is the first time I've gotten no questions so far. So of course I can talk about a few things while questions come on, and any of those who are on and have questions, please bring them on. So what is today's live about? So Mani, I did not actually go into the make a topic, right? Because I wanted to talk about any questions that were pending about the course. But while people ask questions, what I am going to talk about is water. And Monisha, these general questions, right? Like cure for childblains. It's going to be very hard for me to answer those questions because in Ayurveda, we don't look at the disease. We don't treat the disease. We treat the person. So somebody may come to me and say, I have diabetes. What's the cure? I'll say, I don't know. I'll have to look at your landscape, right? For example, let's say you're examining a farm, and a farm that has had rain in monsoon is going to look different from a farm who's just had some water clogging, and they may all look the same, like, oh, there's water on the farm. What do I do? Excess water on the farm. We go into the causes for why that has happened. So we never treat the disease, we treat the person. Yes, we talked about a session of how I meditate. And once I have been really busy with the Ashtanga Hridayam course, just designing the presentation, all of that. Once that starts, which starts this week, next week I'll have a much better time to meditate. But I will tell you that even when I don't meditate, right, sometimes I'll be talking in a session and I will connect with my feet, I will connect with my breath. Like right now I'm trying to do that while I'm in conversation, and that really helps too. So, the skincare products, I'm actually going to do a video. I've also done a video on what I carry in my bag. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be out this week. It's a fun video, but it tells you what I do in a week. I will talk about water as well, guys. Is it better if you store water in a copper vessel? No, not always. Copper has its own properties, and according to Ayurveda, there is no such thing, right? It's a more naturopathic recent practice. So I would say that basically all the indications for water is just store it in a clean vessel. Make sure the water is flowing. It's not stored overnight. Flowing water, basically the water has to be flowing. I started talking about water because I want to talk more about water and do more posts about water. So bottled water is, for example, contraindicated because anytime water is not moving, it's not exposed to wind, sunlight, it's not in motion, water starts stagnating and the bacteria multiplication in water increases. So bottled water is 100% contraindicated. Unless you're, of course, in a situation and you have bottled water, that's fine. But that's not how you drink your normal water. It should be flowing. The minute it flows, that pressure changes the rate at which the bacteria is multiplying, lowers it basically. Do you have tips for starting with asanas? I would say Bunny in Bunny Island. When people start a practice of yoga, especially much later in their lives, they're usually enamored by all of these great flexible yogis that they see. And the aspiration is to really go there. And in the process, right, they injure themselves greatly. So my suggestion always is, right, stay really basic, like really, really basic. I want to tell you about my practice. Even though I've been practicing maybe since 10, 11, we had a teacher who came every Saturday, made us practice for 2.5 hours. And I've actually kept up my practice, right? I still didn't do it right. I didn't learn it right because my goal was always like, I want to do that headstand. I want to do that back bend. And then much later, right, like maybe about 6, 7 years later, I said, you know what, I'm going to just go back to the basics. I'm going to learn it like I have never learned it. And I got a teacher one-on-one. And I said, I have no goals of headstands and back bends and all of that. My goal is to master even the simple Tadasana correct. And I spent a whole year doing that. And when I did that, right, firstly, no injuries, body stronger than ever before. The yoga practice was more meditative than ever before. It was really present. And then all of those asanas just happened. Everything just happened. The headstand happened. The handstand, which I cannot hold for long, just happened as a side effect, as a result of really getting the base asanas right. So I would say go really, really slow and really tune in when you're practicing your asana to every single part to see how's my finger, how's the rotation of my shoulder. Pain is not a good thing, right? Stretching is, pushing yourself is, but pain is different. So if you're feeling pain, you're doing something wrong. What does Ayurveda say about cow's milk? Mahisha dugdha, right? So buffalo milk is Mahisha dugdha and cow milk is go dugdha. Mahisha dugdha, so people who have really high Agni, insatiable Agni, buffalo milk is heavy and it's recommended for those people. So it does have an indication, but buffalo milk is basically for people, Kalpak, who have just insatiable appetite. That's one of the treatments. If you should take steam before nasya or after, I have a cold and nasya is really helping me. Can it be done twice? Of course it can be done twice, all things Ayurveda. Great question. Do the steam before, right? So when you do the steam before, right? So actually that's the whole treatment, that when you go for a proper nasya treatment, which is it's the same liquid, but it's a different kind of treatment. What they do is we massage. We first steam all of this out. So we empty these passages, we empty out these canals, and then we insert. And that's a few drops, like that's a little bit more of the nasya, actually either through one of those yantras, those devices. And 100%, you want to do the steam first, do a little massage, get it all out, expectorate if you need to, and then do the nasya. Eating fat dropped my blood sugar and I feel dizzy. Also go to the toilet a lot. Therefore, I can't eat fat. Please advise. Yeah, a lot of people cannot metabolize fat, right? If your Agni has had issues for a long time, you have to do it very slowly. In that case, I say, try to put oil on your body. Put oil in your belly button, right? When you consume, you want to consume ghee if possible. But when you are applying oil, you want to apply oil. You don't want to apply ghee on your body as much because it cannot be metabolized. But when you're consuming, then you start with just 1 or 2 drops in your food of fat. Don't overdo it because then your body is just going to purge it out. Like you said, you go to the toilet a lot. So give your body some time to get used to it. Hey Jill, I just talked about it last time, how not to visualize while meditating. And I said, I want you to go back to my live last week because I really I spent some time explaining that it's okay to visualize. And that's just one part of you, like a noisy child in the background. Please explain how buttermilk is drying in nature. That is a good question, how it is drying in nature. So, it's kashaya, the taste of buttermilk. If you've ever had buttermilk, it's astringent in taste. And the astringent taste, right? So all the tastes carry codes to the functioning of the substance, right? The reason why taste rasas are so important in Ayurveda is not because like, hey, how does your tongue feel? It's because based on how your tongue feels, there is a secret code that tells you how this is going to act in your body because the science is meant to be intuitive. And yes, it's not taught like that, but I will teach it like that. And buttermilk is kashaya, it's astringent. And when it's astringent, it's basically made up of earth, that the taste has 2 elements in it, earth and air, and they're both very drying elements. So it's because it's kashaya and it's drying in nature, it has the ability to really absorb fat. Yogurt is different, but when you churn it and you put water and you make it into buttermilk, all the molecular structure really breaks apart of that yogurt and mixes with water, which is dry. It's water, but it's drying in nature. And the overall concoction then becomes a kashaya rasa, or astringent in taste. Extreme fatigue, insomnia. Most people, right? Chronic fatigue has to do, Louisa, with ama. If you're familiar with ama, it's a toxic undigested waste. Some level of exercising, minimum, not a lot. A little bit of hot water with ginger. Breath work helps a lot. A little bit of intermittent fasting, right, is what you want to do. So you really have to do a big reset. You can't do one or two things. When you have something like CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, you want everything in your day, right? And it's a very lovely life. It's a very monastic life, and you can live it even in your own house, and it's a very, very therapeutic. But for a few days, you kind of got to just step back and kind of go into this lovely mental, physical, I don't like to use the word detox, but let's just say the slowing down life. And you connect with it, and great things come out of it. So these are opportunities. What do I use for skin glow? No, I don't. There is actually, my skin has really been damaged and suffered because I went to Mexico last weekend, and I was on a yacht for the whole day, and it was really sunny. What the sun does, after a certain period of time, it dries up. What is a sunburn? Anything that's heat, right? Firstly, even your food, you first heat it up. When it's heating for a very long time, it kind of dries it up and even makes it it can stick to the pot. Similarly, my skin became, from the winter, it went to the sun and became really scorched, and I had a whole layer of sunburn. But I've been kind of exfoliating this week a little bit, just gently with a natural face pack, and it's been a little better now. How do you know if you're having the right amount of water? If you're not, you drink to thirst, and you drink slowly. And when you start drinking slowly and you drink warm, you'll realize you're not as thirsty, and that means you're drinking to thirst. And you're peeing enough, right? So you're not peeing. You wake up in the morning and you pee. What is the best way to consume papaya? Is to cut it, peel it, and eat it. But you don't consume papaya with other fruits as far as possible. You can consume papaya in between the hours of 10 and 3, and not when you're pregnant. I have also done a period, Amira, about water intake before and after meals, and water intake in Ayurveda is to be done with the meals, right? A few sips with the meals rather than before and after. And again, there's a video on that. I'm going to put a link to that video. I think that video is a must watch. Actually, maybe that should be my next video on Tuesday. I'll repost it. I'm not able to go into deep sleep. I am 15 weeks pregnant. In case it's just closing your eyes and lying down enough is rest for your body. Okay, guys, so this is a very important conversation. And Pooja, I want you to, for everyone out here, right? What the purpose of sleep is for your body to go into the rest and digest mode, which is a parasympathetic mode, which means that, there's nothing else in the world that's calling out to me. So I go into this deep trance state. And sometimes it's hard for people, right? Especially when you're pregnant. I say at that point, you give up the aspiration of sleep. It becomes, I've worked with people who have insomnia, and it's the fact that they're like, I need to sleep is really, really what messes them up, right? So I say it's okay if I don't sleep. The function of sleep is that my body is laying down and my mind goes into a parasympathetic mode, which is like a trance, right? One of the best ways to do it is to pretend that you're slightly intoxicated or like a little silly child, and, it's from the back of your brain this happens. So you disconnect from the front of your brain, and this takes practice, but you just act a little intoxicated, a little giddy, and your eyes are closed. What really helps is, of course, feeling the sensations on your body and going back to your breath. I just go back to the breath in the back of my head, and it works each time. But you can also put yoga nidra. As long as you're able to just relax your body into a deep relaxation state by putting yoga nidra, by just focusing on your breath and breathing into the back of your head energetically, and just feeling the sensations, feeling the weight, feeling the gravity, how gravity takes your body and puts it on the bed, right? That's one of the things that I like to do, is just feel how your body feels on the bed, how the weight falls on the bed. And when you do a few of these things and you do them all together, you really go into that state, and then leave the aspiration for sleep. When I was pregnant, actually, that's when I really trained my body to sleep really, really well. Before that, I was an okay sleeper, not bad. Nothing really kept me up, but I was a light sleeper, people said, right? And sometimes as a young child, I would stay up for like hours, not being able to go to bed. But I think since my pregnancy, right, because I already knew that pregnancy could lead to like this sleep thing, and I become a zombie. Like I get horns and fangs and claws if I haven't slept for like 2 days. You'll see I'm a different human being. So it's very dangerous for people around me. So for their safety, I really had to train myself. And this is what I did. I just started with the deep observation of my breath, which my mom has talked about since I was a little girl. The gravitational pull on the bed, like going into a fake trance. And then it just put me, I slept so well. Also this dialogue that I told everybody when I was pregnant. Oh, I sleep really well. Oh, sleeping is not a problem. People are like, how are you sleeping? I said, I'm sleeping really well. So my brain started believing that. And I still tell people when I work with people who have insomnia, I tell them, when people ask you, how do you sleep? Say, oh, of course, I sleep really well. Oh, sleep is amazing. And to do that. Drinking water stored overnight in a silver glass is good for vatas. Gee, Shikha, there is no such thing like that, right? Good for vatas, good for pittas. No, there's none of that, right? What are you drinking? Raupia or silver is generally, it can be cooling. So it may or may not be good for vatas. So you want to ask what is the body? What is the deha? There's some things that I can say is good for vatas. For example, sweet potatoes. But even for that, you need to have good agni, which sometimes a vata person has suffering agni. What to do for internal dryness and heat leading to heat and itching in the scalp and face. Yeah, that's a big one. I would say see if Shatavari he helps you, see if Shatavari helps you, see if licorice tea helps you, see if rice helps you, see if coconut water helps you. Coconut water is actually a good one. Coconut water, coconut meat, soaking coriander seeds overnight. Filling the gap in the eyebrows, put castor oil. And see if that works. Massage and put castor oil. I used to have like really thick eyebrows myself, and I feel like I still have thick eyebrows, but I think as you get older, eyebrows become a little bit scanty. And I actually made a mistake many years ago, about 15 years ago. I because I used to have a unibrow, I got this lasered, and I think in the process they lasered more than I wanted to laser. That was not good. So this has become a little scanty here. Tips for bags under eyes. What could be the root cause? It's usually indigestion. That's the root cause. Either water retention, indigestion, or something to do with your kidneys filtering. Nasya can be done before going to sleep. So nasya has very few contraindications. It's one of the best procedures. So when you study Ayurveda, guys, it's so beautiful. It talks about a procedure. It talks about arha and anhada. Those who are eligible and those who are not eligible. So it has all the indication and the falashruti, right? So it says, what is this good for? Who is eligible for it and who is not eligible for it? Every bloody procedure has that. It's just a perfect science. Like they leave nothing to doubt. And that's why I say, guys, come and study this with me. So you studied this from the source. Of course, we're not going through all chapters, but this is a great start. Great start. Internal dryness and heat leading to itch in the scalp and face. We already talked about that. Meditation, I promised last time. You're right, at the Lahervani, and you probably came thinking about that. But how about we set up a time next week, next Saturday, and we do RSVPs as well. Will you be attending my live? So even if it's just 10 people, I will want those 10 people who RSVP to do this, because in the beginning, actually, this is how I started my lives, guys. I just want you all to know. Before I did lives, the pandemic, when lives were not saved, when it was 20, I started it with every day a meditation. There were very few takers at that point. And then it distracted me as well. I did it with my daughters. But we'll do it again. We will give this a shot, and we'll do it next week, Aarti. But I do want to also talk about the fact that, so guys, I'm offering, or I'm planning on it, right? And you guys just can put it down in the comments. Spartacus, I'm going to go to your question as well. I am going to offer Ayurvedic nutrition like it has never been offered before. I know the way I teach the tastes is is different, it's unconventional, and it's powerful. How I teach you, what I teach in my Ayurvedic nutrition course is how to see any substance in the world, anything new. Today, broccoli, let's say, was a new substance because that's what's happening. Kale, quinoa, and a completely new substance comes, which is not familiar to you. How do you look at it, and how do you assess it, and how do you make an Ayurvedic analysis for it? So instead of telling you this is how bananas are, this is how this is, and we're going to work backwards, and I'm going to teach you how to break down every substance so you can make an assessment for what it's going to do Ayurvedically to your body. And the way I'm planning, I'm designing this course, and that's why I need help from you all as well with what is appealing, and hopefully this is the second half of the year. But 5 chapters, 5 solid nutrition chapters from the texts. Nothing can replace that once you've studied nutrition from the text, because everybody talks about Ayurvedic food, and you have your information from the text. There is no diluting it. Nobody can argue with that. I also want to tell you, last time when I did for another organization, I taught the Ashtanga Hridayam first 5 and then the nutrition second 5. Everybody who did the first signed up for the second. We had 70 people for the first, 70 people for the second. But this time in the nutrition course, I'm going to be offering 5 lessons from the Ashtanga Hridayam of nutrition, where I can teach you to decode stuff. I'll teach you that there's a technique that I've figured out. But the second half is going to be practical understanding, that how do you bring this knowledge to your kitchen. It's going to be cooking, it's going to be recipes, it's going to be tools, it's going to be pantry lists. So I would like to hear from everybody who's on here if anybody would be interested in seeing what that course is about. So vegetarian vata with thin hair help. Firstly, accept thin hair, right? How you comb with vatas, how you brush your hair is actually goes a really, really long way. A vata can actually keep their hair forever. Pitta may lose their hair sooner, believe it or not. But you just have to be very loving to your hair, right? So you oil it with sesame, but don't overdo it. You oil it very gently. So recently, I always outsource my hair application, and recently I've had this lady who's just pulling my hair a lot, and it's just really not healthy. But you just gently part your hair, and I have a video, and you put oil, and then you just put it in the bottom. And so you want to oil your hair. You want to sleep well as a vata. You want to also, even though your vata, this can get overheated sometimes. So applying aloe vera, applying amla. I've seen my mom maintain her vata hair forever, and it's lovely. She's done a great job. She's 68 years old. She may be 67 years old, and she's done a great job. What can I use for scalp psoriasis? That's seborrheic dermatitis. And again, for that, you have to understand your landscape. I can't just treat psoriasis. If your stomach feels heavy, can I still put oil in when needed? That's a good question, Jill. I would say put a little bit with a pinch of ginger in that oil. Pinch of dried ginger, not fresh ginger, it'll burn. And then see how you feel overnight. And that's, I already answered. I was giving Suvarnaprashan to my 2-month baby, but I felt it was causing sleeplessness in her, so I stopped. Is it possible? Deepika, anything is possible. It is possible, right? Is it a common side effect? No. Is it even a known side effect? No. But I will tell you these things are possible. Or your baby just had a growth spurt, especially if it's a 2-month, right? What happens is for about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks after you come out of the womb, you sleep really, really well. At 6 weeks, when the demand supply of the milk and the baby is kind of matched, you start not sleeping well. And not sleeping well as in you're more awake hours. You're engaged better. But for the first 6 weeks, a baby sleeps really, really well. So sometimes people at 2 months feel like, oh my God, something has happened to my baby. Can you please talk a bit about the drinking water post, as drinking a couple of liters a day is thought to be good. However, sipping and not drinking water in the evening is what Ayurveda recommends. Yeah, Ayurveda does not even recommend a given quantity of water, right? So, and I'm going to talk, Ayurveda is just a science of life, right? So for me, I'm not like, oh, this is prescriptive. Let's put the logic behind it. So I want us to think, right? Our body is like, let's think about concentric circles. It has many membranes. So there's the center, the GI tract, and there are other tracts, and there's a layer of this tissue, a layer of epidermis right at the end. So there are many, many membranes, and all of them have their level of fluids, right? And they all need, just how if you've ever seen a sectional image of a soil, right? There are many layers. There are many layers. And through the process of osmosis, and we study this in school, through the process of osmosis, that water seeps in all the way to the DNA. And some levels, some layers, right? We have salt dominant membranes, so that the osmotic pressure is where it's maintained, where it's supposed to be maintained, right? So we have salt in our plasma, we have the salt in our mucus, and it's purposely that way so that the osmosis happens. But think about it, that your kind of water is going into all the different membranes. Now this drinking of 2 liters of water, and some people got disturbed when I said that you just put the water, it goes to your bladder. Of course it doesn't just go to your bladder, it goes through your GI tract. What I meant to say, it doesn't hydrate as well laterally. But your water gets processed, and the water carrying channels, right? I'll tell you how Ayurveda works. You consume your food, and it goes into your GI tract, and then there is Sarakitta Vibhajana, which means what is useful as nutrition, what is useful as waste. In the waste is divided into 2 parts. There's solid waste, which goes into your colon and is expelled. Even for that, water is absorbed back in your and even this is the same thing as Ayurvedic understanding. In your colon, water is absorbed back and minerals are absorbed back, because again, through that osmotic pressure, you get minerals in your body, strengthen your bones. But then there is a fluid carrying channel. And when you dump your system with a lot of fluids, it first goes and shuts out your Agni. Imagine you're trying to do a bonfire and it rains really heavily. Your Agni is a bonfire and it's monsoon, right? It needs fuel. It doesn't need monsoon. It needs good fat. It doesn't need rain. Of course, a little bit of water between your drinking, as per thirst, when you're feeling extremely dry, all of those are normal. That water just comes and hydrates this part, your gullet. Doesn't go and dump into doesn't go and become a pool on your Agni, in your gut. So drinking a lot of water, right? Ayurveda has a list of diseases associated with Ati Ambupana, and it's completely logical to me. In your warm gut, when you put this cold water. In fact, if you go back into history, there's no such thing as drinking excess water. Cultures that lived more than 100 years, they drank their teas. They had like fluids drinking to thirst. They had coconut water. They had those kinds of things. Even in Ayurveda, every season has a different drink, Summer is a time which is identified to be, thirst is more. And Ayurveda has like, the ancient texts have at least 10 different drinks, right? This is the ancient text, and they're amazing, citrusy drinks. And you need citrus in the summer, because citrus again helps to bring up the Agni and is very pleasing. So drinking all of this excess water can create a lot of damage, create a lot of slime in your body, sit upwards, give you burping, give you even amla pitta, which is this chronic nausea. Try it for yourself, guys. Remember, water is not just, I drink water, I hydrate. No, the many membranes which need different proportions of water. And when you do this, you're really affecting the water carrying channels of your body. I know that went into a long discussion, but it was important. Does overnight soaked coriander water is drying in nature? Jishika, in the long term, it can be. Can you please something on skin issues like eczema? Ayush Sharma, I can't and I will not, because those are skin conditions in Ayurveda, the most complicated, right? If you look at the causes of skin conditions, there's so many. When you post something general on such a complicated condition, you can create more damage than good. If buttermilk is kashaya in nature, how does it help in balancing vata? Very, very, very good question, right? So the yogurt part of it is heating, right? So when we use buttermilk to soak fat also, right? So when we have doing Ayurveda, when you're doing panchakarma and we accidentally give people a lot of oleation, give them a lot to drink, ghee or a lot of oil on their body, we use takradhara, we use buttermilk on their body, we use buttermilk inside and it absorbs it in great amounts of quantity. But when we use a vata thing, right, we spice it with the right herbs. We put more yogurt. Right? Traditionally, you put more yogurt when you're using it to balance vata. You're putting more cumin when you're using it to balancing vata. So the heat of the dadhi, the heat of the yogurt is what will help to balance vata. So traditionally, when you're using buttermilk for its kashaya rasa, for its astringent flavor, you make it differently. When you're using it for balancing vata and you put salt, and because lavana or salt will balance the vata, the amla rasa, the sour taste of the yogurt, the fermentation, will help to balance vata. You don't churn it as much, right? So of course there are all these little details, but I really appreciate that question. Right, Jill? The washing your hair with the chickpea flour, it's really amazing. Murti, yeah, your kids do nasya, do it once a week, right? My kids now, they refuse to do it, so. It does help. So Rasnadi churna, it's like this churna, which is thalam. It's called a thalam, and you apply it on the top of your head. And it does actually help to not... so you know what happens? This is kapha sthana. This is where kapha is manufactured in your chest, mucus production, phlegm production. And then it travels. It travels upwards into your ENT. And all the channels here are very little. They're very minute channels. So if there's any inflammation or if there is any thickness in the phlegm, it can get clogged, right? And things stop moving. So people have sinuses, people have congestion, all of that. This is a very delicate channels. Nasya takes care of all of it. Rasnadi churna, when put here, right, this, where it can get really cold, heated, really cool here internally in the winter, it keeps this warm. It's a little bit of heat protecting here. I tried hyaluronic face mask. Yeah, cocoa glue. I try to stay away from those things, right? But you're right. I mean, Deepak Khosla's PM serum, which I have been using more of since my sunburn, does help with it for sure. How does energy convert into matter? Aarti Leherwani, you're going to ask me all my favorite type of questions. And people who are not interested in this matter are going to get bored about matter. So how energy converts into matter? So the whole concept is, and I tell you, I mean, I feel very boastful to say that, but I know I've had some experience of the same, that we are all, and of course, you know, they've done quantum physics experiments on it, right? So I'm just going to give you a very basic example. A thought is also an energy, right? So the thought that I'm going to go and pour milk is just a thought, and that's an energetic thought. And then you actually convert it into a tangible action. Similarly, right, we all come from just a vibration, a spandana, that's what it's called in the Vedic science, that there's just, imagine dark space. And actually we all have memory of it, right? We all have memory from it because this is where we come from. I remember watching Ramayana as a kid, and there's a scene where the boys go to Gurukulam, the Pandavas, and they're meditating and they have this space. And back then I was like, I can relate, I had this reaction in my body. I said, this is familiar. So even at different points in my life, I've gone back into that state. It's that state of Satchitanand, where you're just like, you're just a vibration on this planet, right? So that's the Big Bang, that there's just a vibration. And the desire of the vibration to manifest into matter, and that's the whole Samkhya philosophy, that's the whole Vedic philosophy, the Purusha Prakriti. I don't know if anybody understands. We're going to do a whole talk on this, guys. It's a very complicated, it's not very complicated, but it's a very long discussion. And that's Spandana, right? That vibration, energetic vibration. Then when it has charge and it has a desire, and the denser the desire, the more it creates matter, right? Anything that's dense moves from ether. The spandana is ether. Then there are 5 elements. Ether, air is more energy gathering in one place, more charge. Then there's fire. There's enough for it to become heated up. Then there's water and earth. And that's how matter is created, all the way from that etheric spandana to earth. And similarly, right, when we have real charge, like let's say something is annoying me. Right now, it's just a thought in my head, but it's annoying me. Now there's motion to it. That's vata, wind. And I'm just taking a negative example. This wind, oh my God, it's so irritating. Motion is the wind. I get angry about it. Oh my God, it's too much. I'm going to do something about it. And I actually go and take action. And this is a negative example from how an etheric thought of irritation went into vata, like went into air, went into fire, went into actual matter, like actually doing something about it tangibly. And the same thing happens for positives. When you become into that energetic state, you become in a state where you can just manifest anything. I've seen it, guys. It's too many times to not believe that it doesn't happen. How do you balance eating healthy with your kids? Do they eat pizzas? Of course, my kids eat everything. Recently, we've had a friend who comes and exposes them to soda, which I grew up without soda. My parents, I know there was a little period when we went to birthday parties and they all had thumbs up floats back in India, and I used to have that. But at home, we didn't have soda. So my rule is, at home, I don't bring any of this stuff. I never bring soda. I never bring junk, right? We just don't. But I love to eat outside. I'm such a foodie. I'd love to go out and eat a good slice of pizza with my children. But I will tell you, as long as you're eating it outside, right, it's not going to have a negative impact. Because your main palate is what you eat at home. Your comfort is provided you have a very loving relationship with food. I'm excited about food, right? I make these bowls and they're just completely fresh, healthy. Like, it's literally from stovetop to table. That's how I cook 90% of it, or at least 80% of the time. It's not even morning to evening. I'm just making fresh things, right? So even I'll make a fresh tacos. I'll take corn tortillas and cook up some fresh beans and veggies and sweet potatoes and, cut up some pico de gallo for them. And it's just come there, right? But there's so much excitement around the food. Sometimes my younger daughter will light a candle. The girls will set up the table. They become a part of the experience. And I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, this is so yummy, guys. And it's genuine, right? Because if it's not yummy, if I'm making it, I want it to be yummy. Nothing to me is like blah food. I wake up every morning dreaming of what my lunch is going to be. Every morning, I spend those morning hours till 12:30, like with that excitement of my lunch. That's how much I love my food. So you create that loving relationship with food, that exciting relationship with food, and get the children involved and set their table. And there can be enough healthy things, enough sattvic meals, which is delicious. Like, honestly, if you ask my girls, they will prefer the food we make at home. And I'll give you some examples of the things that we make, right? So like I put up a picture. I made this Mediterranean bowl, and I'll tell you what all it contained. And it was so delicious. It had cooked chickpeas. And when I cooked the chickpeas, I put a bay leaf inside so it's not as gassy. So some cooked chickpeas. I put cooked sweet potatoes and roasted with garlic and olive oil and salt and pepper. Same thing with beets, same thing with potatoes. Kids always love potatoes. They need that filling. For that one, I did cut up some tomatoes. I put some avocados. What else did I put? Some avocado. Yeah, so all of this, chickpeas, avocados, tomatoes. I put sliced onions that were really kept in lemon juice for a while, right? So they had kind of fermented so that they were digestible, right? That process, that sanskar of fermenting of the onions had made it digestible. They were not raw anymore. And these sweet potatoes and all that. And then I put a little bit of feta, and I made a lot of parsley. And then I made this chutney, which was so delicious. Parsley, mint, cilantro. And it was delicious. And then I crunched up, so I put a little bit of feta, salt, pepper, olive oil, lemon juice, and we crunched up some pita chips, whole wheat pita chips, right? So they still have a little bit of their crunch and their fun. And I'm not like, oh my God, you can't eat feta. Oh, you can't eat this. I mean, I'm actually a fan of feta generally. And it was amazing. And it looked colorful and it was so appealing. And that's the kind of food that we make. I make all kinds of veggie bowls for the girls. I make like the tacos example that I gave. We make fresh fried rice. I'll make a noodle soup where I'll use rice noodles or sweet potato starch noodles. So we make yummy food. I do make grilled vegetables during the winter is one of our favorite things. And once Sanjali always remembers this meal where I made a platter of rainbow colored veggies. So we had beets and carrots and, yellow zucchini. And it was all in, and I put it all together with thyme and parsley and rosemary. And I think anybody in the world would actually enjoy that. And then sometimes I make dips with it, right? Like I'll make hummus. I'll make a few different dips, pesto, sun-dried tomato dip, and then the girls can have it. So you can have healthy food and you can make it really, really yummy. And then you can do whatever they do outside. I know my girls' palate is still this. They've consumed soup for the first 12 years of Suhani's life. She's had soup every day on the weekdays, except for some spring and summer days. Occasionally, they've had, they've had their Ayurvedic version of smoothies, but they love soup. It's their comfort food. They want to go back to soup, and it's always delicious. So, guys, it's possible. We think healthy cannot be tasty. Oh my God, healthy is tastier. Dhanvantri, yeah, Harshada, your foot got twisted today. I did talk about Kesher Google. You can put Tifla Google Dhanvantri. I have it's in the highlights, guys. Is my pregnancy course included in your Ayurveda Demystified? No, Anokhi, dear, that's the only one. That's not. Pretty much everything else is. Of course, the essence of Ashtanga Hridayam is not, and I think the pregnancy one is not. So guys, if anybody who takes all my workshops regularly, I'll say just go sign up for ADA, the Ayurveda Demystified and Applied, because you get everything. You get all my recipes, all of these recipes, guys, that I'm talking about. Not only do you get them, but I give you tricks. I give you the codes of how do you make different types of khichdi. I'll give you the formula so you can use any grain you want. How do you make different types of soups? There's a soup formula that I give you. And it talks about all. It's intuitive Ayurvedic learning. It's tools. What tools do you keep in your kitchen? How do you do all of that, right? So the appliances that I use, and it's just super easy. Your life will become fully Ayurvedic seamlessly, easily, and happily. Water after alcohol. So if you drink alcohol, you basically just drink water to dilute it. But I do want to tell you, alcohol is vikasi and vyavai, which means it spreads very quickly and it doesn't need to be digested. It just goes into your bloodstream. Water doesn't. Water needs to be digested. That being said, still water, even though it takes time to digest, you need a little bit of water after alcohol, or you want to have some carbs to soak the alcohol. So, or you want to eat before you drink, right? Or you want to drink very slowly. I'm not a big fan of really having hard liquor as shots. I think it does nothing. It's just like, I want a high. So I think that's an avoidable thing. Wine, sip by sip, not a bad idea. Make sure you're having enough high-fat food. But otherwise, water temperature, you can't be warm. Yeah, sorry, it can't be too warm because it's going to make you very uneasy, Coco Glow. Room temperature is fine. Do you have Lena through the mid-subcutaneous fat? So for women, and I see you're not a woman, Mr. JCV NYC, but for women, I will tell you, we need to keep some level of fat, right? That omentum. Your Agni needs that little bit fat covering to really keep it functioning well. When it becomes a lot, you can get hernia and it's unhealthy. But a little bit of fat is part of our anatomy. It's a protective, it's a part of our fertility. It's a part of our digestive discipline. It's a part of our digestive abilities. So it's very important for women to have a little bit of that midsection omentum fat. It's really, really good. So not a complete flat stomach, just slight little bulge, right? But I will tell you that if you want that midsection fat to go, guys, it's a combination of not just doing strong abs, also twisting, working. It's twisting, enough twisting, sideways, front crunching, ab workouts, which is like planking and all of that, but also cardio and food, all four of them, and compression. So holding your body, right? Holding your posture straight. And the way it's supposed to, you have to imagine an imaginary line through the center of your spine and your stomach, right? And the way it works is, the compression is that the muscles outside, it's hard to explain, are like outward turned, but the central line is compressing. So the central line is compressing inwards, but energetically the muscles are turned, the muscles around that are turned outwards. It's a little complicated to explain like that, but it's possible with practice, as well as like a slight Kegel. Morning herbal tea, that's for body types. I'll just give you season-wise. Cold weather, drink hot water with a pinch of ginger, hot water with ajwain, or it's called celery seeds, carom seeds. Summer, you can drink room temperature water, warmish water with mint. That's the summer weather. Monsoon, you always want to drink hot water or like warm water with ginger. Recently moved to New York. Hi, welcome to my city, the Chic Project Manager. And extreme dryness and heat inside the home and cold outside is causing too much dryness skin. So, I don't turn on the heat in my apartment. Chic Project Manager. I call the building guys and they can just turn it off. Which you'll still get heat, right? Because it's the same pipeline. So you'll still get some level of heat, but you don't get that crazy amounts of heat that you get if you were actually supposed to activate the heat. You also want to buy a warm mist humidifier. Anywhere you are, guys, you guys use heat, buy a warm mist humidifier and at least through the night have that on. It's warm and penetrates to your body and it just humidifies your lungs and everything. So very, very important. In fact, I've not done it this year. I'm going to do it from tonight. But not having that. I also try and open a window somewhere a little bit. If you're in an apartment building, even if your heat is off, there's enough heat coming through the pipeline. So it's not hot. And at night also, I just go in some room and I open a little bit of that window. I think between all of this, and you still will have some level of dryness, but at least it's not that hot dryness which is damaging. Make sure you're sweating in the winter. Like, doesn't matter what happens. Go to a class, get on that spin bike. As long as you're sweating once or twice a week, you will not feel like that. Of course, other people can get good skin. I think deep lungs. Yeah, I do. Yeah, Shikha, everybody's asking me about oil pulling because I'm like this oil pulling chore where I don't do a lot of oil pulling myself. I should. It's very, very good, not only for your gum health, for your face health, all these muscles, your jaw. How do you do it so it becomes a habit? Oh, the deep breath. I've had my mother, Suraj Bhanchali, since a child. Since it's like etched in my blood. Saans dekho, saans dekho, saans dekho. Observe your breath, observe your breath, observe your breath. And I think at some point, right, I used to be very annoyed with it. I never did it. But at some point, you just subconsciously start doing it. So I guess my thing is, even the Apple Watch has that deep breath reminder. Set it up. Set up a reminder. And you do it. When I first started, that time there was no Apple Watch, but I used to imagine this lotus growing in my diaphragm and then coming back, right? And just your body gets addicted to it. It gets addicted to the chemicals, the neurotransmitters that come about when you do those deep breaths. And it's a very gooey feeling. It's a very fuzzy feeling. And when you get used to it, you know how some people, people just get used to biting their nails. People just get used to flicking their hair. I got used to flicking my hair, I will confess. I'm trying to make it better. But people get used to it. Similarly, you will get used to it. Your body will crave that. And just as long as you train your body for 3 weeks using your watch, your Apple Watch, or just a reminder on your phone, then your body will automatically get used to it. But 3 weeks, right? 3 days, 3 weeks, and 3 months, and you're there. Asana Vedita, Swagati, Asana Vedita. I'm not familiar with Dushi. Yeah, interested in the course. Okay, Pooja, good to know, right? Yes, for the nutrition course. Oh, yeah, I'm so happy. So I'm trying to get it certified as continuing education with NAMA. So Afsana, I am. I'll just tell you this certification means nothing, right? I mean, I also got certified. I mean, I had all of these years of knowledge and it really didn't matter. And I just got certified for the heck of it. It's not given me anything. I don't think it even gives me bragging rights because I know how... Sorry, I'm not a big fan of the way they certify. But yeah, I'm trying to do it just for the heck of it. Can we increase the volume of our hair through diet? I've had excessive hair fall since a couple of months. Through diet, through breath work, through rest. You know, guys, we just give a lot of importance to supplements and diet when it comes to hair loss. But we really neglect stress. Like, I know when I'm stressed, my hair is different. We really neglect sleep and we really neglect breath work. Breath solves half the problem. Breath is nutrition as well, right? How your blood carries your oxygen will determine how the supply is. Your blood and plasma carry the supply of nutrients throughout your body, right? It's carrying this great stuff. And when it's not, the level of the uptake of oxygen and how you breathe really determines that transport system. So it's very, very important. And I think more than diet, you need to do those things. I hope it will work for people with no prior knowledge of Ayurveda. Yeah, Vidvata, I would say that so you don't have to have studied Ayurveda, right? But the fact that you're on here on my live and you're having this conversation with me is enough. No, my nails are not fake, guys. They are real nails. There's no fake nails. These are real nails. Yeah, I am lucky. I have good nails. I have painted my nails through the winter. I've had events after events and after events. I find it very boring to go and sit and show off my nails if you guys like it. As a kid, I was obsessed with nails. But I've had it very boring to go and sit in the salon. Which oil is best for nasya? For safety-wise, you do Anu Taila. Can we get sore throat in intervals of a few days? Yeah, you can get. And can you do nasya in? Yeah, you can do if you want. How to internally hydrate and dehydrate skin? I would say things like Shatavari Ghruta, exercise and take Shatavari Ghruta, have coconut. Breath work really regulates the environment. Guys, pranayam, anulom vilom will regulate your environment, will make it warm if it needs to be warm, and will make it moist if it needs to be moist. So breath work is a big one. which dhatu does the skin is a part of? It is a part of rasa dhatu. It's a upadhatu of rasa dhatu. After, it's the first, it's a very preliminary tissue. It's like milk. You know the cream? That's how skin is first formed. When milk is boiled and there's that wrinkly malai that comes on top, that's how Ayurveda defines the formation of skin. Hi, my Prachi Pandya. Summer also has Belka Sharbat. It is tasty. By Ayurveda, explain healthy ways to consume water in a day, and I just did. And Vata Prakriti, and hair is already dry. One chickpea flour make it. Yes, nets, and that's why I talk about how to do it. It'll make it extremely dry. So you just have to pour. You just have to pour it. You cannot keep it. Hi, Francie. I'm going to see you later today. I'm excited. What can I do for major hair loss? Runs in my dad's family. Oh my God, guys, there's a whole module on skin and hair care. Because there's so many hair questions, I'd say just go and buy that module. It'll give you everything you need to know about hair. What to eat, what hair is about, everything. Okay, I'm going to do a few more minutes. And then, hello, ma'am. One concept is that when there is Medo Kshaya, then there is Pliha Vriddhi. So, Ayurveda freak mommy, this is a very academic question. I think everybody else will get bored because Meda is fat. And when there is depletion of fat, there is Pliha Vriddhi. Pliha is spleen. So, how is that connected? This is a very academic question. And we'll have to use academic language. Thank you for addressing my questions. Love. Currently doing your course. I love the way you make Ayurveda. So I'm so happy. All things Ayurveda. You know, I'm really grateful, guys. All of you who've taken my course. I know for people in India, it's a little bit more expensive, but people have been so forthcoming and so loving and offered me so much, come back and given me so much positive feedback. It's really, really, really like, my heart is in being an educator, right? Because I feel like when you educate, it's one to many. I love working one-on-one. Most of that work becomes therapy. But I really love what I do. Would love to know more about this, referring to the energy my matter topic. Okay. I think I should literally just have a live reserved for those topics because I love it. Why are we asked not to wash your hair during your periods? Because your Agni is suffering, your body is doing concentrated work in your pelvis. And when you wash your hair, it's distracting. The whole thermostat is going off. It's saying it shuts down this work for a while, right? So even if you go in water, if you've ever had your periods, guys, and you've gone in water, again, I'm talking about how water pressure works. Your flow of period actually stops in water, right? The pressure of the water brings the pressure of the period upwards. And, it's all of that. Water is all about pressure. What is the pressure outside? What is the pressure inside? And when you go and wash your hair and you are in that much level of water, you're going to stop this for a little bit. And when you stop that a little bit, it's a dysfunction. There's a backlog. I got too much virus on the whole body and lost a few pounds after getting infected by this famous virus. I had very high fever. Guys, just download my COVID protocol. It's for free. Download it. Have Suvarna Malini Vasant for 10 days to a month and you will feel much better. Do you meal plan for the week? How do you go about it? I don't, Manishka. I am not a meal planner, right? But I'll tell you, if my course has my pantry list. There's certain things that I'll always have at home. I'll have herbs. I'll have parsley, cilantro, mint, basil, at least 3 of these. In the winter, I'll have more herbs. I will always have zucchini, which is a big one at home. That's the first veggie I have. I will have onions and potatoes and garlic because the girls like it. I'll always have sweet potatoes at home. And I will have peppers at home. And I will have some organic corn. And then I just combine stuff from these. I use these for everything. Shweta, my love, has my food all the time. And she's saying, you're an amazing cook. Shweta, you are an amazing cook yourself, baby. Shweta here is one of my dearest friends. She's such a dear friend that whenever I wanted to get pampered in my life, I go to her house and I'm immobile and I don't move. And I sit and she makes the best food for me. And I can eat and I can just... It's like going back to mom's house when I go to her house. Yeah, I'm such a foodie chica. When I talk about food, like there are times I remember when I was pregnant with Suhani and I was craving, yes, you all think it's super junky, but I was craving this cheese fondue and I would go there like once a month to this melting pot place. And while I would order, I was just like a little child salivating. I was like, I'm so sorry, but I like, can you put this and can you put this in it was so, yeah, oh my God. So that's how my relationship with my food is. I'm super excited about it. But still, I'll tell you, when I go for dinner, and I'm a lunch heavy girl, so dinner is pretty much always light. Why is it recommended? I already answered that question. Oh wow, we've gone for an hour. Amaranth, I would not say. Flakes is okay in your porridge, not a problem. Okay, let's do some winter breakfast options, okay? Cooked sweet potatoes with olive oil, and you can add a little bit of spinach or herbs. One of my favorite winter options. I have this cookies and milk option, which is roasted chestnut flour, roasted almonds. You can do any halwas, siras with a little bit of pinch of ginger. You can do stewed apple, and you can do pretty much any porridge. You can do malts. I'm gonna do a malt with Amukta, and Amukta is somebody that I work with, and we're going to do a malt together. She does amazing malts. So malts like a barley malt, like a bajra malt, which is roasted flour, and you can put either buttermilk or water or milk in it, and it's boiled. So there's a lot of winter options. Guys, I'm going to also do a crock pot recipe book, so stay tuned for that. Lotus, Sissy Curie, it works very differently for everybody, but just make sure that your pores are not closed during the winter. When your pores are closed and heat, your capillaries kind of really just, it's like that winter heat and it gets stuck here. Lotus pops, yes, great. Rajgira also cooked well, yeah, not a problem. Will you ever have your classes scheduled for the weekends? Mudita, if that's what you want, let's do a workshop on the weekend. My next workshop is longevity and youth. Live longer, be younger. I don't know, I'm thinking of a good name. If you guys have a good name, please suggest. Could you please something for acne scars from PCOS? I have a lot of water running from my nose in the morning. Doctor said rhinitis, but I think because of aggravated pitta. It's possible, 100% Deepika. It's possible because of aggravated pitta. There's inflammation and this can happen. In fact, even in your gut, right? If you have that aggravated pitta, even your gut could be causing this. Chawanprash is on an empty stomach. I love that everybody loves nasya. I'm so excited. I take nasya so personally. You can do it in the morning. You can do it at night. Okay, let's see what question. 1 or 2. Sorry guys, for those who came in a little bit later, ask questions a little bit later. Please make sure. Guys, I just want to say, so Benita is saying she's stuck in late winter and London and feeling very heavy. It's amazing, right? So in Ayurveda, if you look at the winter regimen, which I will be teaching in my upcoming Ashtanga Hridayam course directly from the source, there is use of musk. And musk is known for depression. And in Ayurveda, they talk about it already. There's use of incense in the winter. It preemptively talks about how to prevent depression. And there's use of all of these substances, which the modern day has started using for depression. I think it's amazing. But I will tell you that you would definitely want to do some of those musky aromas, get enough sunlight. You have to sweat, guys. Winter is the time you have to sweat. Much more important than sweating in the summer. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm not taking a lot of these questions. Am I doing any retreats? Listen, if there are takers for retreats and you guys give me your location, I will. Retreat is a dream, right? So, of course, I'll tell you very honestly, right? Retreat is something that I just do for my fulfillment. Financially, retreat does nothing for me. It's 5 days, but it doesn't matter because it is such a fulfilling experience. Such a heart-opening, life-changing experience for me. And I know it's also for the people who attend. That I think it's just amazing. Cancer, guys, I have had a lot of relationship with cancer. A lot of my loved ones have had cancer. I think cancer is, yes, GMO food can cause it. I think chemicals in your food can cause it. But I think also emotions can cause it. And emotions can cause it more and faster and more metastatic than anything else. Okay, I guess we are good for today. We are at the top of an hour. And I know there's a few other questions, but I will always come back. We will do this next week. And as promised, I will set up a time for meditation. Either it's going to be with the live, before the live, after the live, but we will do it together. Bring your energy with you when you come. And Los Angeles, okay, India. So India, I did have, right? Bell's palsy, do nasya. For craft's sake, do nasya for sure. Today I have bad hair day going on, but I think I can manage for this 1 hour. But yeah, of course, and some Saturdays I can't do long, but it's my pleasure. All right, have a great weekend, all of you. I will talk to you soon enough.